Hello and welcome back to the road to Avengers Endgame. We're playing catch up still, and this one we're talking about Walkman stereo, Guardians of the Galaxy. So Guardians of the Galaxy came out 2014, and I remember the trailer for this one was really not confusing, surprising. I was like, oh wow, they're doing a proper science fiction film.
I was confused when I watched the trailer. I thought it was a joke. I was like looking at Luke like, this is no Marvel movie. Who made this? It's just like a fan-made trailer for like just to make fun. And obviously I didn't know that much who Chris Pratt was.
Yeah.
At that time.
We knew.
And Batista being in it was a joke to me as well, but then I ended up really liking him.
Yeah. At the time, I didn't really like Batista very much.
No, which is also why I thought it was a joke.
Well, yeah, but it talking raccoon, walking, humanoid tree. They were really leaning into the science fiction stuff, and I'd never heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy before. Yeah, at least I had some kind of periphery kind of thing with Iron Man and Captain America. I vaguely knew of those characters as comic book characters. This was completely out of note. Knew of Hulk from the TV show. So I think this was a gamble for Marvel, really, to take something that, I don't want to say unknown, because I know a lot of the comic book fans know of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but from what I understand, the comic book isn't that old. As far as like the other characters have been around for decades and decades, I think the Guardians are fairly new in comic book terms. Anyway, we went to see it. Well, actually, no, I think at first we weren't going to see it, and then it got these huge... I wonder, just as an aside, because all of these previous videos have been filmed handheld, and I don't think you've yawned in any of them, but because we're in the same shot, you're now yawning. Is it?
I didn't even know I yawned.
Yeah, you just yawned. It's like a weird thing. Anyway, right, so regardless, right?
I'm pretty sure I do anyway, because the second you start talking,
Okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy came out and it got these rave reviews, and so I thought, okay, let's go see it, but you really didn't want to see it, but we went anyway. And we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Didn't love it.
No.
Everyone else did.
Everybody else loved it.
It
was so funny. It wasn't over the top at all, or forced humor, or it wasn't silly at all with the dance off in the end. No, it was perfect.
Right, so people love this film. A lot of people consider it their favourites. I can see why. Every time I've watched it, I've enjoyed it a little bit more.
Yes.
But for me, the deal breaker, I think James Gunn, who wrote and directed the film, and this was maybe the start of when they were actually hiring interesting directors to do... Well, I guess Joss Whedon was kind of an interesting choice. They were kind of getting these directors who had a real style. And his style is this particular brand of humour. Now, all of the Marvel films have had humour in them, and it seems like as we're moving through the whole series at the minute, we're seeing the humour progress. In some ways get refined and done better, in other ways go a bit too far. For me, Guardians of the Galaxy went a bit too far in a few moments. And it's always been, for me, always the case is the dance-off moment at the end. You have this big emotional climax, spoilers with the Groot sacrificing himself to save everyone. And then we have the villain turn up at the end, and he's like, dance off, bro. And I'm just like, ugh. And
it's supposed to be a distraction.
It works. It works for what that character is, the way he is, the humor he has, and the fact that he is
no villain would actually let that stop them.
Right. But to me, it just dance off, bro. Like,
he should have just been there when Thanos was there, obviously.
The
world wouldn't have ended.
It's never really, it's always undercut everything for me. But I'll say, when we watched it last week for this rewatch series, I didn't mind the dance-off moment. I've kind of...
you learn to accept it.
I'm learning to accept it.
You know it's coming, and you try to see the humour in it.
No, I'm never going to see I'm never going to find it funny, but I was able to...
I didn't say that you saw the humour in it.
I won't even be able to try to. It just isn't funny to me, and there's maybe a couple of moments where it goes too far, but for the most part, it is really funny. I love Batista.
At least it wasn't painfully, made to be like Hellboy. Where for most of the time the humor was like
Yeah, it wasn't Deadpool level for me, which I found to be way too much. But again, that's the style, and that's the way. And I listened, I listened to the audio commentary for Guardians, which, to be fair, wasn't that interesting of an audio commentary. But one thing towards the end, James Gunn said was that when he wrote that dance off bro moment, he thought, this isn't very good. We'll film it and see if Chris Pratt can make it work. And he's like, and he made it work, and it nailed it. And I'm just like, you should have gone with your instinct there. It wasn't a great moment, but it is what it is. And watching it again, I've enjoyed it more than I ever have, I have to say. And it's probably because I've now grown to enjoy the characters more in other movies, like the second movie, and now Infinity War, where the characters turn up again. So yeah, I'm not going to go into the story too much. You know the story and all that kind of thing. But I think
Batista is my favorite character.
He's really great.
Which is very ironic, as I almost hated him in WWE.
Yeah.
And then the more I've seen him in movies, the more I'm like, why didn't he just do this? Because he's so funny in Guardians of the Galaxy. He has this stupidity with him. But at the same time, he acknowledges that other people might be more stupid. And in Guardians 2, he's even more funny. So I actually love his character so much.
Yeah.
Without him, it's not Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't really care about Chris Pratt's character that much.
I don't either. No.
I love the raccoon.
I love Rocket. I mean, I will say Bradley Cooper does an amazing job. Purely because...
Oh, is that him?
Purely because I can't tell that's Bradley Cooper.
I didn't know it was.
I listened for it. I can never hear it. It's such a good vocal performance that he actually changes his voice. I just, oftentimes in a lot of these big mainstream animated films, for example, you have they bring in big name actors to do certain parts. You can tell it's them. They're doing a bit of a weird cartoony voice, but you can tell that it's that actor. I almost feel like, really? That Bradley Cooper is not just a guy who has the same name? So I think he does a great job as Rocket. I like Gamora. Star-Lord, I like his character and his journey and everything, and I did feel like when I first saw the film that the whole Walkman thing was just a really convenient way to make this science fiction film, but to use all this great music that people love. And I think a lot of people were like, oh, the music was amazing. I was like, well, yeah, he's using some of the best songs ever, so obviously it's going to work. But
yeah, the music is great. It makes it almost into an 80s movie in a way.
Yeah, it has a different kind of... flavor to it when you're using a lot of that stuff, and it works within this, and it has the mixtape has a special significance with him to his mother, and it was interesting seeing the opening part when she's talking about his father being made of light or something like that.
Now that we know
that we know who he is, and now we know the backstory and everything, or at least as it's presented in the second film. So that actually added my appreciation of it just a tiny bit, because I knew where everything was going. Even with Yondu, who I think is great, Michael Rooker, who I know most from
who's Yondu?
The Walking Dead, Merle, the blue guy, and yeah, he's just a really funny character. You view him
differently now.
Yes, you do view him differently from the second film, but also I just think he's a really fun character, and I love the design and everything. And a lot of the film, I love the production design, the worlds that they go to. The villain, Ronan, stock again, just
forgettable.
Blood, I don't really care. It's just typical. He does his best with what he's got, but I don't think he's got all that much.
Every time I watch the movie again, it's like, oh right, he's the bad guy in this one.
Yeah.
So he's forgettable.
Okay, we were just interrupted by a cat throwing up grass in the hallway, so...
Not long. Throwing grass.
Yeah, so...
That's why it took so long.
So Ronan, Nebula is a cool character who gets a lot more to do in the next film, I think, and in Infinity War as well.
Yeah, I really didn't like her in the first one.
Yeah, I like the design of her and the idea that her and Gamora are the daughters of Thanos, who we see in a scene for the first time in Guardians of the Galaxy, actually portrayed by Josh Brolin, which kind of a taste of his character to come. And obviously he's being built up as the main villain of this whole 22 film, story. So it was cool to see him for the first time in a proper scene. One of my favorite moments is when Groot and Rocket team up in the prison, and Rocket is on Groot's shoulder just firing off this gun, and they're firing and they're roaring and stuff, and it's a close up of Rocket, and he's firing the gun. He's like, ah, and then he just starts laughing because he's just enjoying himself. So it's so fucking funny, and the special effects on him are great, and Groot, and again, to get character out of a character like Groot, where to get character out of a character, you know what I mean? Like, to actually feel something for this walking tree who only says the same phrase over and over again. And, you know, Vin Diesel, oh, Oscar worthy, you know. I mean, the way he says those three words every time is... but I love that it's Vin Diesel.
Well, he does say "we" at some point. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think he has 5 lines in the whole film. I think something like that. We have like some minor characters like Peter Serafinowicz, who I usually love. He plays one of the Xandar kind of police officers, or whatever. I find him a bit. What's the word? A bit not great. I don't know. Like, just his acting was a little bit off to me. And then we have John C. Reilly, I believe, who plays another one. Who I like his character, but at the end we see him like reuniting with his family, like a resolution to his character, and I'm like, oh, was he supposed to be like an actual character? Like, he's such a side character that him getting this resolution just seemed a bit odd to me at the end. Anyway, and actually James Gunn said in the audio commentary he was reuniting with his family, who we saw earlier in the film interacting with Rocket, and he's like, I'm not sure if the audience got that, and I'm like, nope, didn't get that whatsoever. I like the score. The main Guardians theme is very good.
Don't remember that now.
Yeah, and I love the location of the giant head. That, you know, this
I want to know more about
this
that
like
thing.
civilization, this like seedy underworld kind of, you know, marketplace / you know, bars and casinos probably inside. I really love that location. It's really cool. There's something else, and it's gone. It's leaving my head. Oh yes, okay. So when I first saw the film, I thought that the space battle at the end was very uninspired. Lots of ships flying around, explosions, and I just couldn't really get a grasp of what was going on. I still kind of think the same. It's a lot of flashy effects, and I don't think it's planned out very well. The ships and everything, you know, they look cool, but not as well refined as other space battle scenes that I've seen in films. Anyway. Bottom line, I actually loved it this time, I would say.
Very enjoyable.
Yeah, just really enjoyable. I would say it's kind of a nice change of pace from the Earth set stories so far.
And also how, you know, dark everything has turned into. Going back in time into all that humor and stuff is...
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking forward to watching the second one.
Yeah,
now. Yeah. I don't have anything to add, really. You've kind of said it all.
I know, yeah. It's yeah, I would say it's definitely been a big grower over the years for me. So, yeah. So there you go, Guardians of the Galaxy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one, which will be Avengers: Age of Ultron.
It's like, oh right, he's the bad guy in this one.
Yeah.
So he's forgettable. Oh, for fuck's sake.